right, we are here for episode 22, going way back. The first guest to repeat on keeping it local. I think you were episode like number two officially.
Number two. All right, I'll take that.
You're 22. Ralph Lush, Lush Home Inspections. What's up, buddy?
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Hopefully well. Better that
Yeah,
you're here, buddy. Um, all right. So a lot has transpired since the last we talked.
yeah.
So much going on. You know what? Why don't we start just, give us like an update on the business. Like how's the business going? How are you doing with the home inspections? And what have you maybe some new things that you've added into your repertoire since we last spoke?
Sure. I mean, inspections have been like crazy busy lately, honestly, and I'm blessed for that. But honestly, definitely way better than last year. 2023 was such a bad year for real estate. So when you guys are doing good, all the realtors doing well, I'm doing well too. But it's nonstop, which is great. Anything different what I've been doing? No, I just been trying to like schedule around people and their work schedules and stuff like that. So I've been sacrificing some like time. I'll do an inspection early in the morning and then have the whole day off, and then have another one at like 5:30. Stuff like
Mm,
that. I'm thinking about hiring someone else maybe next year. You know, if it still picks up like this, with interest rates dropping, I'm sure we'll get
mm.
more buyers.
Well, it's I mean a testament because you're saying it's been a pretty busy year, and overall this has not been a much different year than last year. So
Really?
yeah, as far as transactions and everything, like we're not in much of a better place than we were last year, technically overall. So I guess that's just a testament to what you're doing.
I guess it's like you were saying before, referrals, man. That really helps. Word of mouth, and didn't do
Yeah.
much advertising. I still go to networking meetings and stuff like that, but it's just meeting people and getting to know them and stuff like that. All the realtors and seeing how I work, and they usually like me, so it's pretty good.
I mean, I said it in one of my other videos, but just the way you go about it, I recommend you to everybody, obviously, but
I
like,
appreciate it.
well, because the way you go about it is you're professional, you're
Mhm.
intelligent, and you're not an alarmist. You keep people on an even keel because you know how emotional this whole business
Yeah,
gets.
it is.
People, it's like if you're looking to get triggered by something and not full follow through with a purchase, it's very easy for a home inspector who's a red flag, alarmist type of person to scare
Mhm.
someone right out of purchasing the home. But
Absolutely.
you're there, you educate, you just explain what's going on, you educate them, you show them how it works, you show them what it is. If it's an issue, you explain that it's an issue, and it's comforting. It's like, okay, like this isn't anything unmanageable. It's just this is something we need to keep our eye on.
Yeah, and you know what? It goes a long way, like you said. Like, I can explain something to somebody, and then they see it in the report as a picture, and they know what I'm talking about. Like, if I find like a foundation crack, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, foundation cracks," and I don't explain it to them, and they see it in the picture, they're gonna wig out. But
Mm,
if I explain it to them, and they're like, "Oh, it's a vertical crack. It's less than a quarter of an inch. It's really not a big deal." So, and they see that in the report, and they're like, "Oh wow," like goes a long way.
right. All right, so that's kind of a perfect segue into like what I really want to talk about on this
Yeah.
episode is a lot of seller stuff, like sellers gearing up for the season because I think we are going to see more inventory coming out. It's October 23rd right now, 2024. A lot of what we're seeing is that inventory is going to pick up soon before the spring market. Like we should be seeing an influx of inventory within the next few months, possibly before the fourth quarter actually ends, good old Q4. So with that in mind, if you're selling your home, are there any you could go top 3 or you could go just like simple things like what would you say are the biggest things that you see most often? Let's go there. Like what are the things you see most often that could be a little bit of a hindrance and it's something that a homeowner should just address and move on?
Um, I see a lot of people like freak out about termites and stuff like that. They're not a big deal as long as they didn't do extensive damage. I always recommend to people like if they're about to sell, be proactive about it and get like a termite treatment done to the house.
Mhm.
It shows the buyer that you're proactive with keeping up with your house, and if there is termite damage, you fix that damage, and now the buyer comes in and doesn't have to worry about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I love that one. It's funny you said top three. I literally have a top three right here written down. So that's
We
perfect.
didn't plan that.
No, not at all, honestly. Um, declutter. I was texting you about this the other day. Declutter, like, come, like, for it's not fair to the buyer that's buying the biggest investment of their life, and an inspector goes in there, and we're going throughout the whole house, and I can't see every wall. I can't get into the attic. Like, remember, inspectors can't move people's belongings because it's against the law. It's like if we move it and we break something, it's on us. It's not
Right.
insurance is not going to have those areas open and accessible for us. Like it goes a long way. If I could get in the attic, I could see a lot more than if I'm not in the attic. Like, what happens if there was a roof leak? I know you guys could, bargain with that. Like, if there's an active roof leak, they have to fix that on the seller's
Hmm.
side. And that
Yes.
goes to my next point. Uh, Pre-inspection I think, is smart. I know you did one the other couple months ago. It just
Hmm.
pretty much there's no surprises to the seller's agent, and also the buyer. You know what I mean? Like, get all those problems addressed. Any repairs, like if a lot of the times I see this, like the flashing around the chimney. People forget about their chimneys. Like, flashing around the chimney, that leaks. It's going to leak, if you don't keep up with it. And if you
Yep.
see tar around it, that means there was a leak. And that's not the proper way of doing it. Let's fix it. It's really not much. It's a few $100s, but it goes a long way. It shows you're proactive again,
Right.
So I'd rather buy a house from someone that keeps up with their house than someone that doesn't, because it's just going to open up problems down the road.
100%. All right. So there's a couple of things I want. Number one, decluttering, which is so important, not just for, so it's so important for selling the house. Number one, like aside, like it's important that you get in there. And now someone who's watching this is probably thinking, oh, if I clutter my house, then they won't maybe be able to see that defect, when the
Right.
home inspector comes in. But it's going to go in the report. Like if it's something major, like was not able to get a
Yeah.
look at the furnace or whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, now we want $1,000 in escrow to make sure that the furnace is operational. So
100%.
you can't avoid those things. You can't sneak out of them by like trying to, put a bunch of stuff down there and have it
Yeah.
blocked.
Right.
The other thing is with decluttering is it's so important to selling your house. The first thing I tell sellers when I go in there, the biggest thing, the biggest hindrance to buyers, the first one is smell. The first
Oh,
thing
yeah.
you notice when you walk into the house is smell, right? So you want to make sure that your house, if you have pets, like I have a dog, I know my house smells like Tyson, love him to death. Like I don't care. But if I was selling my house, first thing I do is like I'm de-Tysing this house.
Yeah.
you
Of
know,
course. Yeah.
so smell is one, but then number two is like you buy a house, like you walk in and it's your eyes and your nose first thing. So like when you see clutter in a house, you can't imagine yourself in it. It could be furnished. I know staging, they say, is like it sells for 10% more when you stage a house. I believe that true of a totally empty house. Because I haven't
Yes.
really dug into that data. Yeah. But like, if you have a house that's furnished, like you don't need to get it staged. Just let's move some stuff around, but just don't have clutter so people can see it. And if you
Yeah.
do have clutter, I'll link it in here. I have a decluttering guide from the
Yeah.
Nest Egg team that walks you through step by step how to declutter your house in a systematic way and with worksheets and everything so that you can map it all out. It's actually really cool. So I'm going to link it down there.
I love it. Please do. I want to see it. The
it's
whole
it's
staging
actually
thing.
pretty sick. Like I did it and I was like, let me just throw this out there. It's great.
Yeah, I
Um
want that. I want to see it.
the other thing I wanted to jump on really quick too was um what you were talking about with like roof leaks and everything. Oh, the termites. Sorry, no, the termites is what I wanted to talk about. Oh no, I'm just touching on everything you said. The
Okay.
pre-sale inspection.
Hmm.
What I learned early on was that if you've been in your home for let's say more than 10 years, as immaculate as you keep it and as much as you keep up with everything, there's things that you don't see. And there's
Yeah.
things that, you like we had a house recently that there was evidence of termite damage in the inspection, but just like you said, they had termite treatments from like 2015.
Hmm.
So they've had every year they've had the traps outside. So that damage is then technically pre termite trap. Like
Right.
they have to assume that it's before the termite traps, and the homeowner's really not on the hook for anything because it's like, look, the company is guaranteeing that there'll be no termites in your house because of this trap. So you could wash your hands of it if you have that service contract. Like you said, it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So then what do Hey, what's up guys? John from the Nest Egg team here. Thank you for watching so far. Really quickly, the real estate market is constantly changing. So if you're wondering what your home value is or how much equity you have in your home currently, click the link below in the description and you'll find out very quickly. Thanks for watching. Let's get back to the show. Do sellers need to do besides declutter to like prepare their home? Let's say for doing a pre-home inspection, what's some other things that they should do to prepare their home for like a pre-listing inspection?
I think it should be depend on the season as well. Like for example, we're going into winter. Get that furnace, serviced and cleaned, and like that data tag that will say like, oh, Petro came in and took care of that or whatever.
Mhm.
The like gas boiler is pretty maintenance free, but you could still clean it up and stuff like that, and just make sure because those are big ticket items. Like in the wintertime, you don't want to get in the house and the heat's not working, right?
Mhm.
Make sure the batteries are very easy. Batteries are good in the thermostat, stuff like that. And then in the summertime, AC. Like if you have central air, make sure that's surfaced as well. Those are very easy steps, and it shows that you're proactive again.
Right.
And you're not going to be hot in the summer and cold in the winter, and
Right.
that's a good thing.
Like I said, big ticket items. And honestly, I mean, if you have, I still have oil. If you use an oil company that delivers oil regularly, chances are you probably get a free cleaning every year and a free service.
Yeah,
So get it checked out, take care of that, which most I feel like homeowners probably do, but no harm in having them come and check it out. And then what you said, central AC, definitely. Like it costs you maybe $200 to have someone come in for a service call and just check your AC, make sure that everything's operational. You might
right.
need a small repair here and there, but you're talking $200 as opposed to getting the deal hung up because you didn't get it serviced and then something went wrong. If you get
Right.
that deal hung up and then it falls through, like the longer you sit on market, just the more money you are losing day by day by day. You
Exactly.
want to get that listing sold. So it's like invest $200 to make that, if you're selling your house for 600,000 no mortgage, make
Mhm.
that $600,000 and invest it 200, it's so
Exactly.
worth it.
It's little things like that go a long way, and it shows like I said, you're proactive. Like I'll touch base on this. I went into a house for inspection the other day. Immaculate house, great house,
Mhm.
but um, he took very good care of it. Underneath the oil tank, I found a leak. Very small, minor leak, but still could be a big expense soon. And people are not checking underneath their oil tanks. People
Right?
keep stuff under there sometimes.
Yeah.
But definitely look under there. Big ticket items I would focus on with servicing and making sure they are good.
Yeah. What are the other big ticket items? Like we got central AC, we got HVAC obviously. What are some other big ticket items that they should have that like what are you looking for when you walk through the seller's house for that pre-listing inspection?
Absolutely. So obviously foundation cracks. The ones you really got to watch out for are vertical cracks, usually past a quarter of an inch, and it shows some shiftment. You're gonna have it. It happens.
Right.
The horizontal cracks are the really bad ones. If you have that, it's gonna have to be addressed. If you have a good inspector coming in there, they're gonna find it,
Mhm.
and it's a big expense. It is what it is. But everything's fixable at the end of the day. It's just a matter of how much it's gonna take to fix it.
Right.
Windows could be a big ticket item. Windows are expensive, especially if old ones, single pane windows. I'm going to tell you to upgrade them because the single pane, you want that double pane, sometimes triple pane for the high winds and stuff like that. Like a lot of these windows slam shut if you have kids. Imagine that. That's it's gonna hurt them. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, definitely
no, no, no,
not.
no. Sometimes I find mold in basements, and mold's not such a bad thing as long as you get it remediated. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like a lot of people don't know what mold looks like. So if I come in there, I can spot it, and then I recommend it to a remediator.
Right.
Um, stuff like that because people get hung up on that. Buyers get hung up on that stuff type of stuff. But if you address it, it's going to be less headaches for the sellers. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Right.
What else? What else? Roof, make sure, like if you just got your roof redone and it's fully done, like make sure you have that receipt. A lot of these roofing companies do like a lifetime guarantee or some type of warranty. And if you have that as a seller and give it to the buyer, it gives them more like peace of mind.
Mhm.
And especially if I don't find any leaks on there and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, what else? What else? Those are like the really big ticket items I like to focus on
Yeah.
because those are going to make or break, your bank at the end of the day.
Right. Those are the really the things that are probably gonna cause someone to walk away.
Mhm.
And like you said, in termites too, because termites, like, you can't get the mortgage if there are active termites in the property.
Mhm.
They gotta be treated at that point. So it's like, hit those make sure that those big things are taken care of, because if
Yeah.
they are, and then I guess the next thing I would say is electrical panel, right? Like, make sure
Yeah.
that you have no major electrical issues like aluminum wiring or stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but it's funny you said how, a good home inspector, because I've seen some not so thorough ones, and it's funny because on like the same house, I've seen one home inspector, be totally incorrect about simple things like GFCI outlets, and
Mhm.
then miss like major electrical issues on the outside of the house. And another home inspector comes in and says like, "Oh, this is like, we have like frayed wiring going to the house here. This is
Yeah.
a big deal."
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, how did that other guy totally miss that? Like
Yeah. I
like that's
mean,
a big deal.
it is a big deal. Um, not a homeowner's not looking at their service drop coming in, and
Right.
obviously we are, and it does fray. It does fray, and if it
Yeah.
does, you have an electrician come and fix it. At the end of the day,
Right.
it's it.
Exactly.
And it depends on the electrician. They could be pricey, but I don't see it being such a pricey job. But
Yeah.
find that it's great to point that out because the buyer's not going to know what that is. Usually, right? So it's the whole point of a home inspection to keep up with these things that the buyer doesn't really know about.
And I think what sellers are coming around to, and again, like the sellers I've dealt with recently, like, they're very reasonable, they understand. I'm sure there are some that are not getting it, so I'm saying this for more them and buyers too. We're seeing a shift, a change in what's happening in the real estate market. We are no longer in, and we haven't been in this for a while, but some folks want to hold on to that, and they think it's going to go back to that with interest rates going down. We're
Mhm.
not in that crazy wave inspection, wave everything market anymore.
Mhm.
Even with multiple offer situations, we're still seeing now, we're going back to what it used to be where you have multiple offers, but people are still getting that home inspection done. I'm
Mhm.
sure there are still certain houses where someone is willing to waive everything. I'm sure that is happening, but it's not happening at the frequency that we saw it happening a few years ago.
Right.
And, you know, it's still like we do a lot where, we don't instruct, but we have, we suggest to our buyers like how to go about the whole process. And one of the things that we always talk about is, the home inspection, if it's a multiple offer situation, we might make it for educational purposes only. Meaning like,
Mhm.
if it's we're not gonna, and it's kind of
Negotiate.
like code, like we're not gonna try and haggle over the
Mhm.
home inspection. If there's a big deal, we might ask you to address it, or if you're not willing to address it, we'll walk away. But we're not going in there with the intention of like, oh, this needs to be done. Like, we don't have a punch list. But the
Exactly.
market has changed at this point. Like, you can't expect someone to come in and be willing to waive everything and waive the appraisal and waive this and waive that, because the demand is not there to do that anymore. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I most likely don't see that coming back, even as rates drop lower. But it is there's so many ways to be competitive than giving away the farm as a buyer. Like, there's so many other ways to make yourself competitive and get and be the accepted offer without just saying, "No, I shouldn't get a home inspection." Because what you guys do to me is so important. Like, you're
Right.
giving them you're and again, this is a testament to what you do. You educate someone on the house. Like,
Mhm.
you show them what goes on with the house and how things work. And to me, that is like a lesson that everybody needs to learn.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like you're gonna be living in this house for what, 30 years plus, Like don't you want to know what's going on with your house?
Mhm. I'm
Mhm.
gonna tell a horror story, unfortunately for one of my clients. So if you're listening, sorry, I recommended you. They had a home inspector that they wanted to use. They were, family friend, saved a little money doing it. But, this home inspector was fine, put them at ease about the house, but didn't educate them on certain things. So, it was an older house and they had a really old boiler, like really old. So I guess with these old boilers with like radiators and stuff, again, I don't know this stuff, so you'll probably be able to pick up and explain this. But I guess you have to like at the boiler, like on the boiler, you have to keep like a certain amount of water in it, or there has to be a water level.
Oh, it's a
Otherwise,
steam boiler.
okay, is that what it is?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the first time they didn't know this, it wasn't explained to them. The first time they turned the heat on, all the water like flooded the house on the first floor, like came out of the radiators because they didn't have like those levels appropriate. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Usually you'd like to see it like there's like in like that little skinny hourglass looking thing, kind of like a syringe looking thing, and
Okay.
you want it, like if it's low, if it's super low, you got to lift that up, you know. Steam is it's older, but it is efficient in a way. But
Yeah.
if it hasn't been turned on in a while and it's at a low level, which it sounds like it was with the whole, probably hasn't been turned on in a while, and it
Hmm.
got turned on, and that's what happened.
See, and they didn't know that. They weren't educated on that. So yeah, you might have saved you save $100, $150 in a home inspection, but now you're going to spend maybe 500, $600 in a plumber and cleaning and possibly restoration because like I said, I don't want to badmouth anybody, but like you want to make sure that you get a high quality person in there to assess the house that you're going to buy. Because of that exact situation, to me, it was like, say, you saved $150, but we wound up costing yourself X amount to get this problem fixed. When a good home inspector would have told you this is how it works, and you probably wouldn't notice it when you were there. You're like, see this level, this is really low. You turn this heat on. You have to do it like this. Like you would have.
Did he test out the heat went with that level being low?
I don't even know if he tested out the heat, to be honest.
If it- there you go. I mean, you should home inspector should be testing everything, according to our, scope of work.
Right,
Like for example, like we can't test ACs below 65 degrees because something like that would happen. Not saying leaks, but the system can malfunction and break.
right,
It's too cold. But something like that, even in the summertime, I'm always testing the heat. You have to. You
right.
have to.
Yeah. What do you see? Yeah, I feel like you're almost probably out there more than I am in the current real estate market. So what are you seeing? Any trends that you're noticing? Anything with the current market that's jumping out to you? On the sell side or the buy side, things that you're noticing with houses, anything standing out to you lately?
Houses are just selling fast as usual. Um, but I don't know the whole. I don't really get into it with my clients if they paid over asking and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure on that.
Okay.
But I'm noticing the good houses are they do not stay on the market. They don't. And
So
like
true.
I'll be like if you're a realtor and you send me like the address, I'm gonna Zillow it right away. And if I see it's been on there for 2 days and I'm in there, it's probably a good sign. It's a good house. But if it's been there for a couple months, there's something wrong with it. Not always the case, right? But um, someone found something wrong with it usually, or
Hmm.
the price is wrong or something like that. But I'm
Right.
just seeing the same thing. I'm seeing a lot more buyers, um, which is crazy with like how much houses are. But I'm seeing a lot more buyers.
It is crazy. Like it blows it. Someone was having a conversation with me recently about they just don't understand like affordability at this point. And I'm like, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword for me because yes, it's very tough to get in and buy, but these prices are never going down. Like you're never
Never.
getting a better deal. And if rates come down, prices are gonna go up. We've been saying that forever. Like when rates
Yeah,
drop, prices are going.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, like it's like you're investing now.
hmm
This is a long game, like if you're buying and holding, you're gonna be all right in the end. Like no
yeah,
one very few people have bought and hold, real estate in a decent area have done poorly. Like you will
yeah,
appreciate, you will do well. So you got to bite the bullet and you got to make the investment because it's only going to get harder to make the investment. Like you're not going to outpace rent unless you have like a phenomenal rental deal where you're putting so much money away every month because your rent is so cheap. If there, you got to look at the formula, the calculation too. Are you
right,
saving money by renting or are you just costing yourself a little bit less money than owning? And if you're costing
right.
yourself less, like we're appreciating right now over the last 2 years, I believe it was 10% appreciation
That's
over
unreal.
Crazy, right?
Unreal.
Crazy. So if you bought a
Unreal.
house 2 years ago for $600,000, it is now worth over $700,000.
Isn't that wild? It's
In
wild.
2 years, you made 100 grand.
I know. And I love this question I get because like I love seeing new home buyers come in and it's a fixer upper of a house and they're like, I really didn't want like a fixer upper of a house, but this is what we could afford. Like, do you think like is this a good idea? And I obviously I can't say it, but like I'm thinking in my head, this is a great idea because like not only are you gonna make it your own way of how you want it to look, you're also gonna force uh equity in your house and
Hmm.
that house is going to be worth money down the line. And then, this is inspections aside, you could do more with that money. Like 5 years from now, at that 10%, and the house is worth, let's just say, $200,000 more than you paid for it. That's a lot of money in equity that you could pull out and do something with, or you
Yep.
know, invest with, add on to your house to make it more like pricey. So
Yep.
real estate's so powerful, and there's so many avenues you could go down. It's just a way to go. You
And
buy that house.
it's great. I mean, and like I'm seeing more buyers now starting to be accepting of the fixer upper type of house
Mhm.
because I mean, it's I heard this thing and it's so smart, so I'll just pawn it off as my own because no one's really going to listen this deep on this. But I'll get a clip out of this. So there's three lenses of a buyer looking at a house. There's the price, the location, and a condition.
Mhm.
But one change, like you can't have all three without one being affected. So like if you if you love the area and you have a very specific budget, you might not get everything you want in the condition. Like the condition might suffer because of that. You might have to get a fixer upper depending on the area. Whereas if you have an unlimited budget and you want or if you have not an unlimited budget, let me rephrase that. If you love a certain area and you want a turnkey house, like you want it done, you want it, ready to go, you might have to understand that your budget, your money's going up. Like you're going to pay more money for that house in this area more than likely. So a lot of buyers that I'm working with now are like, we're okay with getting into the house and having to do work to it. We just like they're more conscious of the budget, like how much it's going to cost and their monthly payment and where they're going to be and like what they're actually getting because you can't change the location. That is the most important thing. Like
Yep.
can't change your lot, you can't change the location. So you could always change the house. Like,
Always.
people knock down, they got a ranch and they build 2 stories out of it. Or sometimes people just knock down the entire house or you blow out the cape and make it huge. Like you could change the fundamentals of the house and change the look and everything, but you still can't change that lot where it's located. It's so
Yeah.
important.
Buy the location, fix the house.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. Because you
You
can't
know,
fix the location.
never, never.
So let's switch gears here. You started investing recently. You want to talk about that a little bit? What kind of investing have you been doing for 'cause
So just a little bit of both. So buy and hold, and also a little bit of flipping. For me, it's outside of New York. Maybe I'll get into New York eventually, but for now, lower price points are out of New York, obviously. So,
right,
um, but I could talk about this for hours. I mean, what I could
it's the
say
best.
is definitely, yeah, definitely get if real estate interests you, definitely get involved in it, and follow some mentors. Like surround yourself with people that are smarter than you that you can learn from, and try and idolize and become them and see how they be like. Everything takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. So it's also sacrifice. You got like sacrifice on investing. And then a lot of people are fixated on like their bank account. Like I have this amount of money in my bank account. I don't want it to drop. And hey, listen, if you can make money off of it and it's a smart investment, take that money out because the bank's probably paying you 3 cents a month on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even a high
Yeah.
yield savings account still makes good money, but not what investing in real estate could do. Like you said, like imagine, Joe Schmo bought a house in New York for 500,000 and now it's worth 620,000, whatever it is.
Yep.
That's great money right there. Where are you going to make $120,000 off of a bank account,
It's true. It's true. Now, what do you say? What's your advice to someone like me who's very risk averse to any time? I'm like very risk averse to any money leaving my bank account.
Mhm.
Um, what do you say to someone like me, especially, you're really taking like a lot of entrepreneurial leaps. Like you started this, like Lush Home Inspections, like you've blown up over the last 4 years. Now you're investing. I have a feeling that you're going to make a ton of money doing it because of the way you go about things. So what is your advice to someone who is who maybe wants to do it, is on the fence, but they have that risk aversion to spending the money?
Take the leap. That's my get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, you know, once you because I was like you. I was just like that. I wanted to see that money in my bank. I didn't want it to leave. And you work so hard. Like you don't want to see your hard money go to waste. But I
Hmm.
was like, you know what? If I don't look at it and I you make what's that educated risks, I guess it's called. It's I
Yeah.
forgot the name of it. Educated risks. Not just like it takes risks to get high rewards, but make sure it's like it's calculated risk.
Calculated.
Calculate.
Yeah.
Make sure you do your due diligence and make sure like it's the right investment. Like for me with my flips, I make sure it's in the right location, like we just talked about. And listen, I might pay a little bit more for it, but if the numbers make sense, for example, if like the house down the road from my house that I'm about to fix sold for a lot more, I know, and it's a similar, bedrooms and square footage, I know that I'm going to get at least that,
Yeah.
um, as long as market doesn't drop or whatever, and everything appreciates, So even if it did drop, I would keep it, hold it, and rent it out. Like it's nice to have that income coming in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So even if it's $500 a month, that changes. I wouldn't say it changes people's lives, but like it's extra money in your account, and to do with, and invest even more if you want. But my biggest advice I would say is like, yeah, like just make that leap and get that calculated risk. Because you love real estate, you would soar with real estate investing.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's like you said, it's that taking the leap and the time, but you spent a lot of time educating yourself too. And I actually like the phrase you coined better, educated risk, more than a
Mhm.
calculated risk, because a
Yeah.
calculation to me is just like doing numbers, but like educated risk
Oh,
is you're doing more than just crunching numbers. Like, and I think I feel like we've spoken about this a bunch, but you spent a lot of time
at least three
preparing
years.
yourself to
Yeah,
do these things. And did
yeah.
you join a mentorship too? You joined a
I
mentorship
did. I
also, right?
did. I joined
Do
a
you want to plug
mentorship.
anything or no?
Yeah, I can. Flip System. They're really good. They're a little pricey, but guess what? Like, you're gonna spend some money to make some money. And I looked into, you know, just a mentor alone without the program is like $10,000. So
Wow.
I
Okay.
paid a little bit extra, and I got like a program. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and I have not just one mentor. I have like five mentors that email me pretty much once a week,
Okay.
like they want weekly updates, and they're pushing you. You want that push too. Um, but yeah, it just takes money to make money sometimes.
And now let me ask you this. How long has it taken you to make your investment that you made on them back?
It could have been quicker, but seems like 8 months,
Okay.
8, 9 months. But it could have been quicker. The first two deals that I had secured fell through.
Okay.
Real estate for you.
That's
I'm kind of glad it
100%.
did. Kind of glad it did. One of the properties was way over budget even before starting. So I'm like, all right, you know what? That's perfect. Like, it wasn't meant to be. I learned a lot about the process, and you're gonna learn by doing it. You're not like you could sit there and learn, but you're gonna learn the most by doing it. I'm sure, like when you got your real estate license, you learned, right? But when you did your first deal, you learned even more, and then
You
you
I
grew, and you grew, and you grew.
I don't think you learn. There's nothing I gleaned from all the real estate classes, everything. I mean, you learn about the only things you learn in like the licensing portion of it is you do learn, like you learn the fair housing stuff, which is important. Like you learn all of those scenarios because they give you case studies, because they give you things that really happen. So you learn about fair housing and what it is to be a fair and honest real estate agent. You learn that, as far as like, but you don't learn anything about like deals, and you don't learn anything about negotiating, and you
Mhm.
don't learn anything about like, I was lucky in the sense that like I have a very strong problem solving nature. Like
Mhm.
I immediately, like when there's an issue, my brain just starts going. I start drawing up every solution and every avenue possible to get to a solution. Like that's just the way my brain works. But if your brain doesn't work like that, and you're the type of person that can be overwhelmed with chaos and like can't find their way out of a problem and it just kind of envelopes you, then this is like a really, really tough because you can't learn that until you do it, until you're in
Right.
those situations. And, another piece of it is when you're involved in something that starts going south in real estate for either your client or it's because of something else going on with the other client, when you don't deliver in this, like me, I've felt it personally, like the failure of like how I feel terrible when something doesn't go right. So like
Mhm.
the first one or two instances that I had where there were problems, I immediately was like, never again, never making this mistake again. Like I'm doing it this way, and this is my process, and I'm not listening to what other people have told me at this point. Like this is how it's happening because
Mhm.
it's so it's just to fail here, like with it's again, it's so emotional and people are so invested and there's so much money involved. Like you can't really just jump in and be like, "Oh, it's okay if I fail." Like, no, it's not okay if you fail because there's a client on the other end of this who's counting on you to make sure this happens. So, I didn't have any like deals fall through or anybody that was devastated by me being an agent, but there were things that because I'm super self-critical,
Mhm.
especially with this business. I want to make sure that things
Yep.
just flow.
Same here. Yep.
And it was like, once I did like 2 or 3 deals, I had the process down, I was like, "Okay." Then I started really formulating like, "All right, this is how I'm gonna do it." But you can't, you can't just be willing to fail at someone else's expense, and I think that's the only thing about investing is, like, there's probably no like, you're the one it's you. It's your money,
Yeah.
it's you, like,
Yeah.
you're failing yourself, and you don't wanna do it. And not to downplay that by any means, but like with a home inspection, like you don't want to fail your client because they're relying on you and your expertise. It's such
Exactly.
a big responsibility.
Yep. 100%. I agree with you. Like, you just got to you learn through your mistakes, and hopefully that like super big ones, and you learn through other people's mistakes as well.
Yeah,
You know, when you hear these stories and stuff like that.
absolutely. All right. Well, listen, it's always great talking to you, but I'm going to let you go because I'm sure you got a big day tomorrow.
Thanks, bro.
Um,
Appreciate it.
and we will I'll put all your information in here, but this is for all the realtors out there. If you need an awesome home inspector who's going to do a great job and who makes himself extremely available, even with this busy schedule, that's probably one of, aside from the fact that you're just, you're one of my friends and you're a great guy, the fact that I can text you and say like, can I say you're available at this time, and you're
I
like,
love that.
well, dude, I mean, you love it, but it's great for me, it's great for my clients, like, because I could tell them always, like, I will have a home inspection lined up for you with my offer. So, like, if you're a real estate agent and you want someone who's gonna say, like, "Yeah, I can be there," like, you schedule it beforehand, it's such a huge advantage. Like, it's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. You're killing it.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the time.
No problem, buddy. Thank you. And, again, this is episode 22, Keeping It Local. Thanks, Ralph Lush, for stopping by. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us.